Excellent. Welcome, my esteemed catalysts, to this next installment of Burning Dusk. And before we begin, a short recap, if you will, baby. Previously on Burning Dusk, our catalysts had been called upon to aid the mighty Kark, an ogre of great power and a hunter of Oliss, who led his men to ambush a large group of barbaric worshippers of Laku, god of the dying and the dusk, led by a human shaman by the name of Garrus High Crow. Garrus briefly spoke of his exploits in slaughtering the ogre clan of Mouge nearby and the collection of their blood in urns, and was seeking to make a trade with Kark for the remains of an angel, whom he mistook for an occult goods dealer from trade. However, instead of an angel, Garrus looked upon a winged Arwen, and was then proceeded to be brutally murdered and body slammed in the mud, ending him and his plans. After a bloody battle of 2-1 in the rain and mud, the ambushees were victorious, but at a cost. For 4 of theirs had fallen, the surviving catalysts tended to their wounds and gathered the bodies of their dead and dying heretics, and tied them around a great white leafless oaken tree upon a hill, and there Kark prayed to the cherry-eyed Oliss and dedicated the souls of these sinners to the flames. His bare hands lit fires which burned the great pyre, and as the fires burned and the dying screamed their last, their souls were burnt clean and their sins forgiven. As Kark explained thus. Kark then, pleased with the strength of this motley group of survivors, rewarded them with the pelts, and had bestowed upon them each a stone-like cherry seed. He told them if they wished to learn more of his order and his god Oliss, and they were to travel west towards a great looming spire on the horizon called Broken Mountain. And there they would come across a great stream, and they were instructed to follow the stream downwards, eventually coming to a village to meet Kaelin Bran, head of the order. Kark would not follow, for he was to travel to the clan of Mouge's village to investigate Garrus's claims, his heretic cult, their plans, and to find out if it had any major ties to the major faith in Baal. And the scene opens, but not where we last left off. Not in Baal, no, not in the country of Thru, not in the shadows of the dark forest of fear, but far away east, in the frozen center of Kavega Thale, the wasteland of Niflund, a land of cold and ice, battered by the howling wraith winds, and a graveyard for the elder creator of cold, Nif itself, lying dead somewhere in the snow. And it is within these lands that we open, looking upon a mighty bastion, a structure of steel billowing black smoke, an edifice of the Imperial Empire of the Vaigish, the Children of Steel, known in Tehulian Simbiris Frigus Antram, the Cold Cave. As we zoom inside through the smoking hell gates of the steel dome, we see a city of impossible size and make, towering high into the sky and delving deep into the bowels of the underworld. The city swarms with life. Steel grey-eyed skinned men with sunken noses and char-black hair fill the streets. Fires burn in the furnaces. Hammers strike steel blocks. Weapons are forged. Steel-plated soldiers march in the streets. Scholars bringing wisdom to the commanders. Slaves in chains pull munitions and supplies. Priests of Morgul and Tuhul sing prayers over the marching columns. The clanging of hammers, hitting metal, echoing for eternity through these iron streets, smoke and black ash covering them. Here, within this city of steel and might, the Vigish armies mobilize. War has come again, and the Vigish armies march against the Orcs and their Holdray allies. As it is cycles earlier from present day, Sursen, O Mars, you stand watching the armies march, high up on the balcony in the tower of House Sursen, the judges and leaders of the Vigish war machine. As you look upon this city of black ash, shining metal and burning fire, you feel good. You see the greatness of your people's empire. You see the construction of tall buildings of steel, and you see the towers of the other 9 houses in the interior of the cold cave, all knelt before the power of Sursen. A thought enters your mind. Someday, you will lead this engine of glory, for you are the son of a great man. Behind you, you hear the words, "O Mars, come, follow me." You turn and see your father waiting for you by the door. Lord Senator of the 9 of House Sursen, Sursen O Poilkis. You turn to follow him. Your time of trial soon upon you, and you meet it with a confident smile. As we enter in next scene, Sursen, O Mars, you are taken. You follow your father down through the tower of Sursen, looking at the glories of this tower. It is a long trip down, for you hold a high position within this great tower. For in Vigish society, those who ascend highest in the tower of their house are the greatest. And eventually, as you follow your father down through the winding steel staircases laden with opulent tapestries and symbols, historic monuments and weapons of old, you follow your father and his guards down into the base, into ground level, and there a great beast awaits in the street. If you would imagine a beast the size of an elephant, and also the look of an elephant mixed with an alligator, and atop this great beast is what appears to be a fortification of steel, as if this is a chariot is placed right on top this creature, a creature which looks to be built of war. As you see many other guards stationed outside, awaiting for you to enter into this caravan. The other guards are riding these great furry warm beasts. These are furry shaggy beasts, if you imagine something similar between a wolf and like a reptile, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of shape to it, but covered in fur with vicious fangs and more, and riding them steel-plated soldiers of House Sursen. As you are led into this great beast, this chariot of steel, and you are taken. Your father does not say much to you as you begin your journey through the streets of this great city, a bastion of your peoples. As you look out the window, you see the movement of soldiers. You see priests, Vigish, adorned in red robes, sprinkling incense and burning them outside homes down here on the streets. For today, on this cycle, it is a day of Morgul, and the priests of Morgul, the priests of fire, bring their sacred blessings through the streets. As you see other multitudes of creatures and animals of all shapes and sizes, this caravan you're traveling in, everyone parts your ways, for plainly adorned on the outside of this carriage and upon this creature you ride upon are symbols of your house, of House Cerson, a chakram engraved in fire. As many part ways, wagons part ways, so you may move easily through the city. And you look out the window and you see slaves toiling, carrying goods, slave markets, pitiful creatures, but necessary for the continuation of the prosperity and the rightful rule of the Vaigish, the children of steel, creations of Harbopothus. As several hours pass, you sit there in this carriage adorned in fine silks and strange weavings from a land far away known as Rudderland. You have never been to such a place, but such fine goods from so far away are within this carriage, your father's carriage, and you're taken from one end of the city to the other, and you step outside. You do not know where you're going per se. You're moving through the city, but finally, hours later, you stop, and outside your father motions for you to leave. Let's go. And he beckons for you to leave outside. And as you step out of this great carriage, you come across a great sight, a monumental sight. As you look up, you see one of the towers of the Cold Cave, one of the 10 towers circumferencing the edges of this great steel dome. However, this tower is devoid of splendor of the others. It is not of the hated House Digrivu or of the barbaric House Santir, but this house, this tower, is of the first house, House Talan, the fallen house. And here, as you look up and you see this great ruined tower of steel, it is in horrible disarray and partly demolished. Various burn marks can be seen, and various charred burn marks can be seen on the outside of the walls of this great steel tower, if you can imagine. And before you is a great staircase leading up to archways. Some of these archways, the columns holding them out, are crumbled and melted. And you look up and you recognize this is the tower of the first house, the ruined house, a house which broke the tenets of Harbopothus and is responsible for the curse and spreading of the corruption of werewolves and that foul disease, lycanthropy. As you come out, your father motions for the guards of House Cerson. There are 30 of them to wait outside. This place is mostly deserted, in fact, completely deserted. There is no one here, for if anyone is to walk inside here without influence, without permission, they will be killed. This place serves as a warning, not as a place to be used by anyone. These walls are cursed, they say. Your father turns to you. Cerson, O Mars, you know of this place, you know where we are. And he waits for you to respond.
Yes. This is the traitor's house. The ones who betrayed us all.
Yes, it is. It is indeed, my son. And he gives you a slight smile, and he's definitely a little bit pleased with you. Your father, and as well as the majority of Viking society, compassion and love is not openly ever expressed. However, that small smile, that nod of confirmation is essentially the same as a pat on the back in human society. As he nods, he looks at you. Come, my son, follow me. And you can see he's dressed in robes of black mostly, bits of grey, opulent robes, as well as you are dressed in quite fine gear, however not per se robes. And you can see that he's wearing robes of office, robes that denounce or that portray him as being a senator, one of the 81 of the Senate that rule and govern the Cold Cave and their exploits. He turns to you and says, Poilkus turns to you and says, come, my son, we will go inside, I wish to show you. And as you walk inside, you feel slight trepidation slightly, as this is, you've never been here before, you've seen it from far away. Guards stationed here of House Cerson and of others do not let anyone inside here for very good reasons. This is the first time you've ever stepped so close, and you're moving inside. As you enter through the many archways of this great monument of, well, a tombstone of the first house, you look inside and you see more rubble, more disarray, piles of ash and soot on the ground. You see more scorch marks across this tower in various places. What looks to be the remains of a great chandelier had long ago smashed and crumpled to the ground. You can see rust take form in many places. This place, and anything of value as well, any sigils or anything of that like. You can see places where there used to be sigils, these great monuments, these great symbols of the first house, like you've seen in other houses and within yours as well. That is just scorched and taken down and ripped down. And this is just a hollow, cold ruin. And this is massive, you can imagine. This is the size of a football field. Just this entrance area, this foyer. And your father walks through, and you walk along with him, your boots kicking up dust and ash as you walk closer inside this ruin. After a little while, your father once again speaks up. Mars, I am bringing you here because you are my son, and you are of House Cerson. I know, and you've told me that you know of this place, and you know of this foul history. But it is important that you walk inside here with me and see this place with your own eyes. For know that this ruin of this tower stands as a bastion, as a symbol of the glory and the superiority and the right of rulership that House Cerson holds within this cold cave. Do not be mistaken, my son. Cerson leads. We are the greatest house. We are the judges. We are the leaders. We ensure that the will of Hobbapothus and those of the Enforcers and that of Morgul to who are upheld. We protect our people from destruction. And look upon this place. This is what will happen if we were not around, if we were not around to stop this. See this and know that this is a place that shows our strength as Cerson, but know that this is a place that shows our failure. as well, my son. This is a failure of House Cerson, a failure that we could not stop this from occurring, that we allowed, that we were too slow to act and to save this house, and to save those who died here. We have the right of rulership. The responsibility of the Vigish Empire rests on our shoulders, and we must not ever make another failure, another mistake ever again. This is why this tower remains, why it has not been melted down, why these steel walls, as he gestures around, have not been melted down to create more arms for our armies. No. It is more important that all look upon this place and remember the crimes of the past. My son of House Cerson, within your veins runs the blood of angels. Within your veins runs the blood of the dead son Aramazda. You are the first of the glories of House Cerson that is to come. For this world changes, and we must adapt to make sure that we stand strong, tall, and greater than the other houses that would seek to have our position and rulership. But they cannot, for they are lesser than us. We own that responsibility. We must lead. And my son, and he kind of grabs you by the shoulders. My son, you are the first of this new way, this new path for the glory of Cerson. You have the blood of angels within you. And with time, you will prove yourself to be greater, to be that which the Vigish need. You, my son, are the future of House Cerson. Many eyes fall upon you, for you are the first, and there will be none like you with the blood of Aramazda running through you. There will be none like you until you prove yourself, my son. You have come of age, you are strong, you are intelligent. You have the blood of my family. You have the name of my father, the great Inquisitor, Grand Omaz. You hold his name, and so you must rise to equal or even overtake his legacy. And for remember, many eyes of Cerson, of the other senators, and those beyond look upon you and await to see the results that you bring. Some fools call it blasphemy to mix bloods. But no, my son, you are strength. You are the future. And when you prove yourself, you will lead Cerson into a new golden age. And from 1,000 cycles from today, every single son of Cerson will be like you, will have the same kind of blood running through their veins as you do, to have the same gifts. The world is fractured and weak. It is within our people, as you can see around you by the first house, corrupted by the dark gods. We must fight against it with weapons that will destroy them. Will you succeed?
I will not fail. Never shall I fail. Not like this house. Not like the darkness that was born here and was died here. Our house will never end up like this place.
Good. And he grabs you by the shoulders and he smiles. And this is probably the most affection that your father's ever showed you. I mean, you know he cares for you a lot, but this is good. He's reserved. He has to be. But he is so pleased, and you can see that. Good, my son. Good. Here. And from the underneath his robe, he takes out a long cylinder steel encase, and he hands it to you. And you can see the cylinder of steel is engraved, richly engraved, and it looks like something which you can pop open, and inside you've seen these kind of things before, and inside this is documents of great worth and scrolls of great worth are kept inside. But upon this sealed over the clasp which opens it, you see the house stamp of House Sersen, and he gives this to you and he says, "Here, take this. It is documentation. You are to take this, guard it, and take it to a man, a human, a new thing that spawned from the rivers of Bale, from the remnants of that derelict Ferrum kingdom. There, a new species has emerged. We are most interested in what they are and what they are doing and what their plans are, and to know much about them, for they may be a threat or an ally, but regardless, I want you to travel to Bale and to find a man by the name of Kaelin Bram, who is head of the Order of Oliss in that region. There, I wish for you to give him this. That is what I ask of you. Do our family proud, my son Sersen Omars."
Thank you, Father. I'll return when I have delivered this message. If I happen to encounter any more intelligence of this new species, I'll relay that as well.
Good, my son. You will not fail me. I know it. And he takes you and walks you back through the halls of this great ruin. However, just as the camera pans, following the two great men of Sersen leave this ruin, the camera pans to the side, and from the darkness of the corridor, two bestial eyes watch them leave. And with that, the scene opens for the present day. The twin eyes of Edelman filter down through the canopy of trees, giving off barely enough light. Barely enough light to make out the dark silhouettes of the vegetation. The rainbirds have moved on this night, and no longer can you hear the rumble of distant thunderbirds, but their presence is still strongly felt, for the air here is still cold and damp, the earth still muddy and pooling into patches of murky brown water. Quite disgusting for some of the catalysts involved here. A slight wind rustles through the trees, though the tree trunks protect you from its chilling touch. The wind shakes the wet leaves, sending cascades of water pattering down upon you all. It is quite cold. Your garments have had not enough time to dry. Those of you with armor find traversing this terrain a greater challenge, as your heavy boots sink deep into the mud, slowing your pace, laden with your belongings and a sack of fur pelts from Kark in addition to it all. Some of you moving animals, alive or otherwise. You find yourselves growing quickly fatigued as you traverse this forest at night. Torches or lanterns held in front of you. Those of you who require such lights, of course. Still, you press on. You have been traveling for some time since saying your farewells to Kark, following his directions towards this spire, that broken mountain. Staying on course has been easy enough, but now within these trees, within these thickets, and amongst great rock formations of this hilly and sloping countryside, following that straight path has been much more difficult. The mud squelches beneath your caked boots, and the pattering of water droplets fill much of the ambience through the forest. But beyond that, you can hear the occasional flaps and screeches of winged rats. Ah! Some of you know them to be as bats, as they fly from tree to tree. Hoots of owls as they fly, hunting these flying rats. The chirping of crickets coming out now that the rains have stopped. The croaks of toads in the many small creeks and bogs that you pass. The smell of decaying vegetation coming from these places. And when you kick over various piles of fallen leaves, the smell of rotting fills your nose, and you catch insects scurrying in all directions where you disturb the earth. Centipedes and cockroaches and the like. Those of you with any grades in carpenter, or any significant grades in outdoorsman, can recognize the trees in these forests are a yew variety, Y-E-W, easily identified by the many wriggling branches that spread out like tentacles in all directions, yellow sap oozing from broken branches. As our catalysts are trudging through this forest, and leading them with a very quick and precise step, and very eager, is Cerson Mars. If you would please describe your character in the present day.
Out of character. In third person or first person?
You can just third person for now.
Okay. So, I am Vigish. And Angel. I'm of House Cerson. I have been forged from a blood ritual of Vigish and Angel essence, in an attempt for House Cerson to advance its posture and its will upon the rest of the world. I have pale yellow skin with jet black hair, blood red eyes.